Alright, tell me one thing. Do you find yourself looking at your fish tank and think, this was supposed to be relaxing? So, I know how it feels to be in your position. Nobody tells you the right information, your fish are dying left and right for no reason, your tank is full of algae, and it's just so chaotic and confusing. I recommend that you stay throughout the entirety of this video because I'm going to be dropping my top 5 beginner mistakes in fish keeping that I wish I knew when I got into fish keeping. So my number 5 on this list is chasing water parameters. So a lot of the time people will say, oh, you need to keep this fish in a pH of only 6.8 to 7.2. I'm telling you the truth, that's BS. See, fish have been bred in captivity for so many years, they have adapted to all types of different water. And so what's a better option is to just keep your parameters stable as opposed to chase them, because chasing them is only going to make them more stressed out. Okay, that brings us to number 4, and that is overfeeding. I know how it is to see your little fish asking for food and you feeding them, and you know, it's very fun to feed your fish, right? And so the thing is in the wild, they don't get that much food. Like, they're used to going days without food, and it's just part of their DNA. And so you don't have to worry about your fish being starved as opposed to being overfed. I will go on trips, like 3-day trips, and I just won't feed my fish, and they are fine. Now, once it gets to like a week, you know, it's a problem, but you really don't have to worry, and it's just better to feed less than more. Now, the rest of these points are all going to feed into each other, so I recommend that you watch all of them, and just to get a full understanding of what I'm talking about. So, number 3 is not cycling your tank. I work at a fish store personally, and a lot of the time people will come in, they're really excited to get into the hobby, they are like, ooh, I want that fish, I'm catching the fish, and then before I bag up the fish, I just ask, I'm like, you have a cycled tank, right? And then they just look at me confused, and it's because they're not told how to cycle a tank, and even what cycling a tank is. And so I'm here to tell you, basically, when you start a fish tank, it's not going to be ready for the fish. The fish is going to poop, and that's waste, right? It's going to make ammonia in the water. Now, bacteria in the fish tank, they're good. It's called beneficial bacteria. And what they do is they eat the fish poop, they convert it into ammonia. Ammonia is very toxic to fish. However, they convert it to nitrite, which is also toxic to fish. However, then bacteria convert it into nitrate, which we can just take out doing a water change, or your plants can eat it, and it's not that harmful to your fish. However, when you start a fish tank, there's not going to be enough bacteria to support your fish's waste. And so it's going to spike in ammonia and nitrite, which is going to kill your fish, and if it doesn't kill your fish, it's going to make them very sick, stunted, just not happy, and that is going to really set you back. And so to cycle a tank, I recommend to get the tank, you set it up, you have it running, lights, filter, heater, everything going, right? Conditioned water. You can even feed it a little bit. It's called seeding the tank. Feed it the amount of fish food that you would once you have your fish, and that's going to feed the bacteria, and the bacteria are going to grow to the population that amount of waste can support. Now, once you let your tanks run, you'd want to let it run for 2 weeks at the minimum. I'd say, personally, I do about 3 weeks, and then you can add your fish. But overfeeding and not cycling your tank are connected, because if you feed too much into your tank, the bacteria that's in that tank isn't going to be able to support that much waste, because all that food is going to break down and make a big ammonia spike and kill your fish. And so that's one reason why it is never a good idea to overfeed your fish. Coming in at number 2 is disease. Now, when you have a big spike of ammonia, or you're chasing your parameters too much, or your fish are just stressed overall, The ammonia can weaken their immune system, stress them out, and that's when a disease can attack. And so what I recommend is keep your fish happy and healthy, follow all these other points, and you should rarely run into problems. If you do run into these problems, don't worry, there's medications out there on the market that can treat the disease. Another way that disease can get into your tank is through buying new fish. Your fish comes from the store, has a little bit of a disease, gives it to your new fish, and you got a whole problem. So another way to prevent disease is to quarantine your fish before you bring them home. Put them in a little tank, watch them for 2 weeks, make sure they don't have any diseases. Even better, to treat them in those 2 weeks with medicine. Then you can add them to the tank. Now, coming in at number 1 is tank size. Now, at the fish store I work at, many customers will come in and they're talking they have goldfish in little bowls and bettas in little cups and 1-gallon tanks, and okay, I get it. You'd think that a small tank would be easier to take care of because it's less water, it's less space, you know, it's just more manageable. It's like something to put on your desk, look pretty, and that's it. However, the water quality, the ammonia, nitrate, temperature, pH, very quickly in such a small volume of water. So that's why I recommend beginners start with a tank 10 gallons or more, 20 gallons being better. That will just give you a little bit more safety area, if you will, so you can catch a problem before it turns into a catastrophe. And so, as I was saying, from all these are connected, you know? If the fish is stressed, that's gonna lead to problems. And these are all stress factors. My biggest tip is just to keep the waste in the water low. Keep the ammonia low, keep the nitrite low, and you will do great. Help yourself out. Start off with a big tank. Don't feed your fish that much. I'd say once a day is good. Make sure before you add your fish, your tank is cycled and ready to go, has that ecosystem, and remember, don't chase those water parameters. Keep them stable. Alright, that's it. I hope that you got something from this video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload any new great content. And I hope you have a great day.